right. Hello, welcome everyone. It's a beautiful day to be out here. Thank you for coming. Can everyone hear me okay? All right, so thanks for coming. Thanks to everyone who helped to organize and put this together today. Thank you so much to my husband, Chris Runyon, who is doing the AV today for us. And yeah, we wouldn't be able to do this without, everyone coming together and caring about something. So many days I'm sitting here and I'm like, why doesn't anyone care about the stuff that's going on in front of me? So it's so nice to be in a place and see how many people do in fact care. So yeah, thank you. So we are here today coming together to talk about the past year. We did this a year ago in Schenley Plaza. We've spent this year under a president and his regime who don't understand or appreciate the value of science and education in the U.S., who take for granted U.S. leadership and innovation with no understanding of what it takes to build the kind of global excellence that we have in this country. It takes patience, takes education, kindness, tolerance, freedom of speech and freedom of thought, exchange of ideas with our international collaborators and students. These are the things that it takes to have what we have. In the past year, I've heard stories of scientists being stopped coming from Canada to go to conferences, being stopped and harassed at our borders. Some of them vowed they would never, ever come back. I've sat at conferences waiting for speakers to come to my sessions, just to have no one arrive, no one show up, because huge numbers of international scientists are not able to make it into the country, or they decide at the last minute that it's not worth the risk. A significant fraction of the people who we collaborate with are uncomfortable coming to our country right now. The people who make, our science better and stronger, who come to this country to share ideas, start new projects, spend money in our cities, are not coming anymore. This has never happened, at least in my career, before. I've had students cancel trips to go home and see their families in other countries because they're afraid they won't be allowed back in. Now, I didn't even introduce myself when I started talking because I'm so mad. I'm Dr. Carrie McDonough. I'm an associate professor of chemistry at Carnegie Mellon, and I'm angry. I've had students cancel trips because they're afraid they won't be able to get back in the country. We're seeing more and more international applicants decline invitations or not even apply to come to our country's universities. And even students who have been here, who are already here, or who are citizens, don't feel comfortable in this country anymore. ICE is terrorizing and brutalizing and killing the best of us in the streets. Students of color, trans students, queer students don't feel safe. Often they don't feel like anyone is here to protect them as Trump threatens their rights, their health, and their future. Trump and Hegseth and the rest of this regime think that the lives of women and girls don't matter, here at home and in Iran. We're here today together with a huge number of excellent women scientists to tell them we matter a great, great deal. And not just for making babies if we choose to do that, also for all of the excellent contributions we make to science and technology in this country. From all different backgrounds, all different colors and cultures and countries, we all will not be taken for granted. So we're gathering here today, everyone who's living, learning, and working in this city, to show that we are not alone. We stand together. We stand up for the values that legitimately make this country great. Our excellent education, our ingenuity, our diversity, equal opportunity, our immigrants, and our freedom. RFK Jr. and Trump and Hegseth and the whole lot of them are showing us what fascism and ignorance look like. Let's show them what America's excellent scientists and scholars look like. Ignorance is not bliss. We're angry. But knowledge is power, and we have power together. Yeah. So we're gonna try a quick call and response chant, and then we'll get going with our speakers. So I'm gonna say, Fascism thrives on fear and silence, and then you're going to say, it's time to fight back, stand up for science. Fascism thrives on fear and silence. It's time to fight back, stand up for science. Fascism thrives on fear and silence. It's time to stand up and fight back for science. All right, thanks so much. Okay, so our first speaker we're going to get going here today is Denali Kincaid. They are a geologist and volcanology PhD candidate. They're also a very passionate science communicator, sharing their love for our planet and desire to protect it at every opportunity that they can. So welcome, Denali.
Hello, everyone. I am a geologist. I am many other things, but today that is all I am. We are all here because we believe in the same thing. We believe in the value of science. But I must confess, the people I want to speak to the most are probably not here today. The people I want to speak to most are those who don't believe in the value of science, who don't trust science, who see what is happening and say, why should I care when I have my own work to do and my own mouths to feed? But what I want to say is this. Please remember that we as scientists are here to serve you. We work for you, we exist for you, and we fight for you through our work. I want you to know that our scientists at NOAA and the Center for Atmospheric Research, the NCAR, are collecting data that helps your farmers manage their crops. We are collecting data that helps fishermen from my hometown stay safe, data that protects the rest of us from hurricanes, winter storms, and wildfires. 80% of the data used to predict extreme weather right here in Pennsylvania comes from these organizations, and yet thousands of their employees have been cut, and the NCAR is set to be dismantled altogether. I want you to know that scientists at the Environmental Protection Agency are trying to stop the pollution of your air and water with toxic chemicals, heavy metals, and mercury, but that they were recently ordered by this administration to no longer consider the cost of lives lost when regulating these substances. I want you to know that when the EPA first started, a team of photojournalists was sent across the country to document the illness and pollution caused by these unregulated industries, and that this project resulted in 80,000 images. These images show smog covering every city and industry town in the U.S. Images showing our waterways filled with sewage, and images showing the famous Statue of Liberty, supposed symbol of our freedom, surrounded by a thick sheet of oil in the harbor. This photo series captured miners in Tennessee, West Virginia, and right here in Pennsylvania, suffering black lung disease at the hands of unregulated industry. Over half of the mercury we're released into the air we breathe is from these mines, and the protections against this are being rolled back as we speak. I am the great-granddaughter of one of these very coal miners, and I, for one, will not stand idly by as that reality becomes closer to our own. I am a PhD candidate. Over 10,000 PhDs have been lost since this president took office. So this is costing genuinely gifted scientists their jobs. It is costing my friends their jobs, and it could do the same thing to me in the future. So I am not going to pretend that that plays no role in my appearance before you today. But greater than that is the reason why we all became scientists in the first place, and that is to fight to give all of you, the public, a better future, so that you can focus on your own work and your own families. Scientists are not your enemy. When they cut our funding, they are not just cutting the funding of a scientist. They are not just cutting some big, rich research organization. When they cut your scientists' funding, they are stealing from you. They are stealing services and knowledge and protection that you have a right to, and that we will not get if funding of the sciences is left to the whim of private investments. Or if funding of the sciences is continuing as this administration seems intent on doing it. Those PhD positions that were lost, we're trying to create a safer, better medical treatments, cleaner air and water, prevent flooding of our cities, and protect our most vulnerable. So, as nothing but a geologist, I ask you, the public, demand better for us and yourselves. We are here for you, and we are here to work. So please, let us work.
All right, thank you so much, Denali. Our next speaker is Professor Jay Aronson, professor in the History Department at Carnegie Mellon. Welcome, Jay.
Thank you so much. I feel like we are the lucky ones sitting here. We get this amazing view. I think just take a second and turn around and just look how beautiful the world is, and imagine if we didn't have to spend our weekends fighting fascism, what we could be doing. My name is Jay Aronson, and as Carrie said, I'm a historian and human rights scholar at Carnegie Mellon University. I come to you from the humanities, but don't worry, I do have a BS in biology, so I'm okay here. Where we've been under attack for the social and political implications of our research for a long time now. The moment the humanities stopped centering only those in power, the moment we began to tell the stories of people who had been marginalized, disenfranchised, and harmed by this country's history of white supremacy, we became enemies of the same forces that are now coming for science. Welcome to the fight. Here's what I need you to understand, and what many of you already know. Knowledge is political. It has always been political. And what we are witnessing right now is not a budget dispute. It's not a debate about the size or function of government. It's not about policy. It's a battle about who gets to determine what is true and what is not. It is fascism, and we need to call it what it is. Every authoritarian regime in history has sought to control the production, distribution, and interpretation of knowledge. If they can't control it, they destroy it. And if they can't destroy it, they drown it in chaos and confusion. We have seen this play out in history books, and now we're watching it happen here, in real time. The Trump administration is shaking down universities like a mob boss. He's using extortion and threats to gain their loyalty. Unfortunately, more than a few of them are going down without a fight. But they aren't satisfied with forcing our institutions to comply with their whims and demands. They're firing the scientific experts in our government's regulatory agencies, strangling funding for scientific, medical, and environmental research, dictating what can and cannot be taught in schools, poisoning our libraries and arts institutions, and doing their very best to destroy our system of higher education, which was, until recently, the envy of the entire world. Why? Because reality is inconvenient. Trump, RFK Jr., and Jay Bhattacharya prefer to be the sole source of facts and interpretations about the world. It's inconvenient to be confronted with evidence that infectious diseases become deadly when you gut public health infrastructure, that vaccines are safe, that climate change is real and caused by burning fossil fuels, that trans people exist, have existed, and always will exist, that no group of people is biologically superior to any other, that disabled people can live rich, meaningful lives when given proper support, and that red meat and butter are, unfortunately, not the foundation of a healthy diet. While all of this is happening, the senseless and criminal war in Iran is costing taxpayers an estimated $1 billion a day above baseline military spending. That's $7.5 billion already, with no signs that we're going to stop raining down bombs on school children anytime soon. I want you to take a minute to imagine what we could do with that money. Endowments for our public universities, transformative investments in community college, healthcare and housing for anyone who needs it, targeted research on deadly diseases, efforts to expand the production of renewable energy. Imagine the beautiful things we could produce if we invested just a fraction of that money on the arts. Imagine what we could accomplish if we chose to heal our earth and promote human flourishing rather than exploiting it and hastening our own destruction. Stand Up for Science is a clarion call to scientists and health professionals to engage in politics. But it's about more than just securing funding for your work or ensuring that policy is made using the best available evidence. It's about standing up for the sciences and the humanities and the arts, for the entire project of knowledge production and human creativity. They're coming for all of us, and we have to defend one another. Thank you very much.
Hello, hello. I'm Tracy Baton, and although I am a social worker and anthropologist, I am also a fellow of the National Academy of Sciences. It was many years ago, but I did extraordinary work, and I was a Fulbright Fellow, and there are no more Fulbright Fellowships in the United States. I was very proud to study abroad and study Black women's history in South Africa. And we need to fight for that kind of support so we can all be citizens of the world and know what's going on in our world. I am here briefly to announce No Kings. On 3/28, we will see all of you at noon at the City County building to stand together and say that America is a country of people, not kings, and we will not be ruled by a so-called trumped-up king. We invite you all. We can't wait to hear you. Other organizations that want to reach out and partner, please reach out to us. One of them will, of course, be you all here. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Jay. Really hope to see all of you at No Kings. Yeah. Our next speaker is Vanessa Lynch, who is the Pennsylvania campaign coordinator for Mom's Clean Air Force. Welcome, Vanessa.
Hello, science lovers. So I'm here on behalf of Mom's Clean Air Force's over 107,000 Pennsylvania members and 1.7 million caregivers nationwide who are fighting for clean air and who love science just like you. Yeah. The Environmental Protection Agency's core mission is to protect human health and the environment. On February 12th, the EPA attempted to revoke the endangerment finding, putting the health of our families, communities, and future generations at risk. The endangerment finding is the Environmental Protection Agency's bedrock protection against planet warming pollution. It recognizes that greenhouse gases released when we burn fossil fuels threaten our health, our communities, and our future. This finding gives the EPA legal duty under the Clean Air Act to limit how much greenhouse gas pollution is dumped into the air, just as it does for other dangerous pollutants. This harmful attempted rollback is a culmination of the EPA's year-long push to gut science-focused pollution protections families depend on. Moms across the country are saying no. We are uniting to stand up for science. The recklessness of the decision to repeal the endangerment finding cannot be overstated. In 55 years, there has never been such a direct assault on public health protections and science by an agency that was created to protect families and our environment. The science is indisputable. Climate, heating, pollution is supercharging extreme weather disasters like storms, heat waves, floods, and wildfires while endangering human health. And these impacts are not abstract. They are real and tangible, and families like mine are feeling them every day. In Pittsburgh last April, extreme storms knocked out power for weeks, creating dangerous situations for the health of our families and leading to 3 deaths. Pennsylvania already has the highest incidence of Lyme disease in the country, and global warming will only make ticks a more widespread health threat. Dangerous flooding in recent years has damaged communities across our state, and wildfire smoke from Canada has reached our homes here in Pittsburgh. The EPA's decision to attempt to rescind the endangerment finding ignores the realities of climate change. It dismisses science, endangers public health, and corrupts the very mission of the EPA. Climate change also costs families and communities a fortune as healthcare costs rise and lives, homes, jobs, and farms are lost or damaged in floods, droughts, increasingly dangerous weather. Meanwhile, fossil fuel industry billionaires continue to rake in record profits, while our children, families, and communities pay the price. While lawsuits have been filed to challenge the revocation of the endangerment finding, we need to push progress at the state and local level. In Pennsylvania, efforts are being made to address climate change through things like statewide industrial decarbonization programs and city-focused vehicle electrification plans. But increasing clean energy across the Commonwealth has never been more important. Protecting families from bearing the energy costs of data centers and the health costs of fossil fuel-fired power plants can have a huge impact on our day-to-day lives. With concerted effort, Pennsylvania could become a leader for responsible energy development and climate action. State efforts are vitally important right now, but we also deserve a federal government that speaks the truth, that trusts science, and that cannot be corrupted by the interests of big polluters. EPA Administrator Zeldin has corrupted EPA's mission to protect human health and the environment. And that's why Moms Clean Air Force has been joined by over 200 organizations, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, in calling for Administrator Zeldin to be held accountable. Moms across Pennsylvania are united in demanding we follow the science in this fight for the clean and safe environment our families deserve. We are stronger when we stand together. Thank you for being here today to remind the world that climate and pollution science protect the health of our families.
All right, thank you so much, Vanessa. And our next speaker is Dr. Arvind Venkat, who represents the 30th District in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives and was formerly an emergency physician at Allegheny General Hospital. Welcome, Dr. Venkat.
Good afternoon, scientists and health science lovers. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much. So I'm going to make one correction. I'm still an emergency physician. I still practice. And I'm going to tell you a couple stories because I think that's what really persuades people when we're talking about why we need to stand up for science. When I decided to run for office in 2022, my parents, who are immigrants, as am I, I'm the only immigrant currently serving an elected office in Pennsylvania at the state or federal level. They asked me why I was running for office, and they used some new swear words that I didn't really know about in Thummer. And I told them that in a democracy, we get the elected leaders we deserve. And that's why I ran for office. And I brought the stories of the patients that I've cared for in the emergency department with me into the political world. I became an ER doc because I knew I was going to be able to care for anyone, no questions asked, and knew that I could be a voice for those who don't have a voice. And from working at Allegheny General and caring for my neighbors for close to 20 years here in Western Pennsylvania, I have seen a woman who nearly died because she had delayed care from not having health insurance and showing up in my emergency department too late. I've seen patients during the height of the fentanyl crisis who would come in after an overdose and we would care for them and we would discharge them, and they would come back during the exact same clinical shift with a fentanyl overdose again. I've seen a near 2-year-old who got into his father's firearm and accidentally shot himself and died. And I've seen loved ones who have gotten sick from COVID. I've seen neighbors who've died from COVID. And I was president of the State Emergency Physicians Organization when COVID hit. And so very much by accident, I became a voice in this community about how we could stay safe and move forward. And when I took that into the political arena, it was shocking to me some of the rhetoric that I would hear in the halls of Harrisburg. And I will tell this story because I think it matters for this rally. We were debating a resolution to recognize a group called Vote ER. They're a nonpartisan group that registers voters in healthcare settings. And my colleagues across the aisle decided to make that a political issue. Resolutions usually are not a political issue. They would say, my colleagues across the aisle, they said, you know, I want our physicians to stay in their lane. I don't want them involved in politics. But from seeing patients die because of the failures of our healthcare system, from seeing patients who did not get the benefit of the scientific research that's being produced or was being produced every day here in Pittsburgh and across the country, from understanding that without science, that we would all be in a much worse place than we are today, I had to stand up and say, this is our lane, and we need to stand up for science, and we need to make sure we're involved in the political process. In my time in Harrisburg, I did not have it on my bingo card to defend vaccine access, but that's what I've spent a lot of the last 6 months. And the story that I told on the floor of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives is that I've never seen a patient with diphtheria. I've never seen a patient with tetanus. I've never seen a patient with H. flu meningitis. I've seen one unvaccinated child with measles, and I've cared for a number of senior citizens who suffered from polio as a child and lived with the consequences of that to this day. And it's not a world that we should return to where vaccine preventable illnesses rear their ugly head again. And we're seeing that now with the largest outbreak of measles in our country since the early 2000s, all because of the anti-scientific efforts from RFK Jr. and Donald Trump. And we need to call it out. So I'm proud to stand with you here today to stand up for science. And you certainly have my commitment as the only physician in the legislature and the first one since the mid-1960s, that as long as I'm in office, I will be sure to add your voice into the political arena, into the public forum to stand up for science. So let's continue doing this.
Thank you so much, Dr. Venkat. So now we were going to take kind of a little intermission for about 10 minutes. We might have some people come up and talk about experiences during a kind of open mic. So if you would like to share with the audience, come in and talk to me. We're going to read some statements as well. Other than that, please check out all the tables that are behind you. We have a lot of local orgs here who want to chat with you about science and sciencey things. So thanks.